Jake Lloyd for Infowars.com. We're here inside the state capitol, so we're going to try to keep the volume a little bit low here, kind of keep it down to minimal talking. We're with Sibel Edmonds. This is the third stream we've done trying to get through security and everything. We're currently in the state capitol attempting to confront these lawmakers that are potentially being paid off by radical Islamic extremists. Y'all are fine with, did the other Infowars people go ahead of y'all?
They just went me over.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry.
All right. Which floor are y'all going to? Better take the next one. All right, we're going to go ahead and wait till the next elevator comes through. Don't want to get too crammed in there. Millie and Gavin are already up at the second floor, going to go ahead and get set up prior to speaking with these people. Like I said, inside the state capitol here. And effectively for viewers just now joining, I'm not too sure either. Looks like we're across the way here.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and get a shot here of the different areas. There's Sibel. We reunited with them. We're going to step over here to the side. Looks like. All right.
Easy to get lost in here.
All right. We're coming up here on the Senate chamber.
He does. Yeah. This gives him more power. 2E6, 2E13 is what we're looking at.
How many viewers do we have?
Who are you looking for?
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's office.
Trying to reach 2E13, his office. Is that right over there?
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
So let's slow down some cameras and catch up a bit.
Hey, look, it's the guy who killed Kennedy. Check that out.
We want to ask why you haven't had any investigations initiated by him, why there is no oversight on these charter schools, and even though he has received so many complaints, why this is not being addressed, the charter school. And you would think Lieutenant Governor's office, the Texans should have what? Outstanding appointment. When they're there, they should listen, and I don't believe they're going to do that. Where is Alright, so let's see. Mark, do you want to go in there with me?
Let's go.
They locked it.
Oh, it's locked.
She locked it.
Hello?
It looks like the door's been locked.
Oh, now they locked that one. Are we capturing this?
Yep.
Okay.
She just came up, walked up and locked it.
She walked up and locked it as we were walking in here. Looks like they got word from somebody that there was a group coming in here.
So we're here to see our Lieutenant Governor. We're here to see Lieutenant Dan Patrick. He says he doesn't talk to the people.
Oh, that's very interesting.
What are you reading? Looks good.
This is very interesting.
You can't get in.
I want to make sure cameras.
I wonder who's telling him to lock the doors.
This is what people need to know. This is the public office, right? This is a public office. And they don't want to hear from the people and they don't want to respond to the people. That's amazing.
Yeah. This is amazing. This is what happens when you have a democracy run by people that are not interested in representing the best interests of our country. This is the most powerful man in our state politically. He has benefited from many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from charter school operators, including the Gulen movement. And his door is locked. We can't even get in. This is a really powerful lock, too. Makes you really wonder.
And that's funded by the taxpayers as well, right?
Yeah, let's slide.
Oh, here.
Here you go. Just going to give you a few more of these. You can tell Dan we came by.
When is his elections coming up?
His elections are coming up in November of next year.
Oh, so November 2018. Okay, so we
Interesting.
have this one on the list. We have several representatives in Congress, and
We will remember this next year. We will remember.
okay, state of Texas. This is the Lieutenant Governor's office. Here we are. I mean, we look pretty distinguished, don't we? All of us? We do, right?
People
I
with
mean, I even
Texans
wore
and we
my
get a locked
jacket
door.
today, just out of respect for an office, right? We are here, taxpayers. We have Texans here. We have called several times. He knows exactly, the Lieutenant Governor, he knows exactly.
Okay, we're going to go to the Lieutenant Governor's reception room now. See if we can get any answers there. See if the public servants would like to give any answers there. You know, it's interesting that the taxpayers pay for the lock that is locking us out of our elected officials' room. Oh wow, very beautiful.
Is that locked as well?
Yeah, it's also locked. The side door's locked. Everything's locked.
Okay,
This
Lieutenant
is,
Governor's constituents have been declared, okay, we have been declared as irrelevant. So, I don't know, how do they guarantee their
Look
vote?
at this. Looks like they're going to have a party later. We weren't invited.
No.
I wonder who's invited. Maybe members of the Gulen Movement Charter schools.
Please stop. I will
So-
have you guys, we don't do any recordings in this room.
Oh,
really?
we didn't see the sign.
It's a private room, you can't get in.
Why is it private? Isn't this a public building?
Okay, let me go ahead and grab.
No, ma'am. Isn't this a public building? Isn't this owned by the people of Texas? Okay, great.
They're going to get someone to deal with us in this public building owned by the people of Texas. We'll see exactly how they want to move us.
Enjoy the fruits of what Texas had. Our great-grandfathers and grandfathers paid for. China, silver,
What's the
nice
big
crystal.
stand? What's the guy?
But our governor, our lieutenant governor, will not talk to the people. That's really a shame.
How does that go with the whole notion of government of the people? He's right here. For the people, by the people?
Oh, he's right here.
Is he coming?
Oh, interesting. More locked doors. More locked doors.
So it looks like he just walked in.
Looks like he walked down because it looked like we were gone, and then he scuttled back into his little office there.
Excuse me, sir.
Scuttled back in.
Thank you so much for coming this evening. We can replicate people here. This won't be happening.
Oh, they're closing the blinds now. They're closing the blinds. They can't even look us in the eye. Wow.
Government by the people, for the people. What happened to that?
It's pretty sad.
Only arms by
Howard, Texas.
We're here to non-violently talk to our elected representative. Where is he?
Well, they are not giving any appointments because we wanted to go through the channels, call, and he said we would like
You
to
never-
have 10, 15 minutes
Yeah.
of his time. We didn't ask for an hour. We didn't ask for 2 hours.
Yeah, you never.
We said we want to have 10, 15 minutes of his time. I said there are people in Texas who want to have his time for 10, 15 minutes. And they basically hung up. They said no. They said, what was this about? We said it's about the public education system, the taxpayers funded charter schools, about ULAN network, and we mentioned the documentary, and we said we want to get a response. Why we don't have oversight, why we don't have investigations, and they said, no, we're not going to give you any interviews. Why? No reason cited. So we came, and okay, we are from Oregon, but we are here with people
from
here in
Texas.
Austin. I know you are.
We're Texans
and they
over
are
here.
not giving us 10 minutes. He can send one of their spokespeople, at
Yes.
least, just as a courtesy.
They will
saying,
never
I'm
talk.
too busy.
Sibel, they will never talk to you. Dan Patrick and his fellow politicians that have taken money from this very dangerous group will never talk to you on camera. And they will never talk to us when we come and confront them. These doors are locked for a reason, and it's a very, very pathetic reason.
In addition to contacting Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, we contacted 5 other representatives here in this cabinet.
And they wouldn't, because some of them were under investigations, correct? Ethics committee? For the trips for hundreds of thousands of dollars they have pocketed from a foreign organization.
Now, those are Congress people up in D.C., but yeah, there's enough to go on here that there's something very, very wrong here in the state of Texas.
Shall we go to the Department of... But you know what, though? Here it is. You said that he would never talk to us. He wouldn't talk with Infowars. He wouldn't talk with you. He wouldn't talk with us.
No, he's in
But-
Killing Ed. You can see Dan Patrick and how he weasels out of very tough questions in Killing Ed, my documentary about the growth of the Islamic cult Gulen movement and their charter schools here in Texas.
Well, his elections are 10 and a half, 11 months away. And let's see how he's going to weasel out of that.
I think we need to come back.
We are going to replay this scene here when his constituents are here asking him for 10 minutes of his time
Sibel,
on
I think
public education, and he's not doing... I'm going to be here.
we
for
need to
the-
come back for this.
Oh, we are coming back.
Yeah.
We are coming back. We're going to bring some big screens, and during this whole campaign time, we're going to play it. We're going to say, this is a man, listen to all the promises he's making. All
Yeah.
the promises. Well, this is the lieutenant governor in action.
They'll say
this
we
is
were...
the lieutenant governor in action.
You
Shall we
see,
go to the Department
you
of
see, they
Education?
will say that we were a dangerous group that had to be locked out of this office. We are here non-violently. We are citizens of the state of Texas. We came to try to talk with Dan Patrick, and this is our response. Locked doors.
We're dangerous even though we went through metal detectors.
Shall we go to the Department of Education? It's only what, 2 blocks?
That's across from the Bullock Museum. Mike Morath is the Commissioner of Education, also somebody that is very well aware of this particular chain of charter schools in Texas. And he needs to be confronted too. Yeah.
So those of you who want to come and confront Department of Education, this is for the state of Texas, headquartered here. Raise your hands. Okay, good.
I don't like these people.
He's Spider-Man. Could you like scale the wall and
Well, so Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor of Texas, doesn't want to come out and talk to us. These cowards are all the same, whether they're out in the street at these protests or they're in public elected office. They all scurry in. They scurry back into their little rooms and such.
We have to look inwardly, you know. We the public, we the people, we have allowed this to happen. This is not brand new. For decades, we have abdicated our responsibilities as citizens.
Absolutely.
And
When
now we are watching the results. This is what happens when you don't have active citizenry. This is what happens.
whenever they were ratifying the Constitution, Benjamin Franklin left where they had locked themselves in, and a woman asked him, "Sir, what have you given us?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." And the point of that is that every single form of government will devolve into an oligarchy unless the only one that is based on the rule of law is a republic, but it still needs to be safeguarded. And what's happened is the citizenry has allowed a few unelected bureaucrats to take hold of those who we have elected and effectively render our vote useless. And that's what happened because our citizenry has not been on guard. And that's how we get cowards like Dan Patrick who scurry back into their office behind a locked door. So it looks like we're going to head out here pretty soon. Maybe go confront some people at the Department of Education who are also aware of this. These radicals that have influenced the charter school system here in.
Texas Education Agency. You up for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you can shit for it? I'm not. I'm making a joke about it. It's about 3 blocks. It's across from the Bullock Museum.
All right, going to head down to. Oh yeah, that's not too far at all. The Texas Education Department. Sad. Such a beautiful building. Such a beautiful building with such a proud history of Texan history is occupied by cowards and thieves and sellouts. Yeah. Locking the doors and closing the blinds, too. Mm-hmm. All right, coming back out here into the rotunda. This is a beautiful building.
I like all the old symbolism. You know how to read it? It tells you a lot.
Very Greco-Roman.
Masonic stuff too.
All right. Well, like I said a minute ago, it looks like we're heading towards the Texas Department of Education here in a minute. For those just joining, we're confronting lawmakers and other elected officials who are supposed to represent the public, and we're confronting them about a charter school system which is under direct influence of potentially radical Islam. These, in these schools nationwide, children have even been converted to Islam, as we've heard. And now we have officials being paid off by these people, and we're here with Sibel Edmonds to confront these people who have been selling out children to these radical Islamists. And now we're going to be walking down towards the Texas Department of Education, I think, and confronting people there who are also complicit.
One other quick fact that I want to mention. I know there are these plans that we are going to spend billions, if not trillions of dollars to build this amazing wall, right? Well, I tell you what, that is not going to keep any terrorists away. Do you know how this man, Fethullah Gulen, came into this country? Private one. Gulfstream, belonged to Langley in McLean, and he came here in 1998 on a private plane, and he landed here. He is wanted in several countries for his network's terror affiliations, organizations. At the time, he was wanted by Turkey. And Turkey is a NATO ally. Whether you like Turkey or you don't like Turkey, that doesn't matter. It's a Muslim country, and it's a NATO ally. And he was wanted in Turkey. So they put him on a private plane. The guy who runs this terror network, he has been running this since 1980s. And they brought him on that private plane into the country. So no, if you want to really protect ourselves from these types of criminals, whether they are terrorists, whether they are, they are the drug barons, it's not going to be the walls. Our own government has brought this man here on a private plane. And now that it's being exposed, we are asking him to extradite him, to kick him out. There are countries who want this man, and they are not willing to get a little coach seat and send him back. That's like $500 this season to send this man back to Turkey.
Tell us what your background is, because you know this group better than most people do because of your background.
I'm originally from Turkey. I have lived in many countries, and I became familiar with Gulen Network when I was a high school student. And he was known as a leader of this cult. We referred to him as a cult, who had his own specialized schools, which they called madrasas. And what they did was, they did not accept any girls to school. I don't know if you knew that or not. Only boys in Turkey, but only from more middle class or more affluent families, because they thought if they were to brainwash them and indoctrinate them, okay, then they can also, through these students' family, have more influence in taking over various branches of the government and businesses. And I came to this country, that was all forgotten, and then I started working for the FBI, and that was when I got to know about their activities, not only in Turkey or Central Asia and Caucasus or Pakistan or Indonesia, but his activities, his financial hub. This guy has presence in more than 50 countries, his madrasas, okay, his NGOs, these front companies. But his headquarters is here in the United States.
Where?
Well, he has a house in Pennsylvania. It's a big castle compound, but he operates his hubs, financial hubs, from Illinois and from here, Texas, mainly in Houston.
Trump trying to get rid of him?
I don't even know if President Trump knows about him,
What's his person's
because
name?
mainstream media, they don't want to talk about him.
What's this person's name again that you're talking about?
Fethullah Gulen. He's a radical cleric who has been twisting religion to brainwash kids in
All of
madrasas.
These charter schools are his.
In the United States, yes, he's the main operator of the largest charter school chain in the United States. More than 160 funded by your tax money. 850 173 charter schools in the United States is operated by this guy. $850+ million a year that he
You've
receives.
been able to actually run this down on paper?
Yep.
I'm just curious.
Absolutely. And we have them. You can print it. There are so many, and that's why I'm asking people to watch
Watch
Mark
my
Hall's
documentary.
documentary. 5
Killing Ed.
years it
Killing
took to
Ed.
make it.
Killing Ed. Killing
Oh,
Ed.
excellent. Can I have a trailer?
It's on Amazon.
Mark, can you say a few words about this Commissioner of Education, his jurisdiction, his responsibility, and why it's very important that we are going to go and pay a visit? Because we tried to make an appointment. Newsbud called his office several times, and they were very rude. They said they're not interested in talking with any of these reporters on this issue.
Isn't it interesting that we can't ask probing questions about this group from our Commissioner of Education? You can't get an interview with the Texas Commissioner of Education. This man's name is Mike Marath. He was actually appointed by Dan Patrick, who we just attempted to visit with. And he is a very pro-charter political person operating all of the schools, all the public schools in the state of Texas. Mike Marath, in October, gave the head of the Gulen Harmony Schools in Dallas a Man of the Year award from the Texas Charter School Association. So Mike Marath is very well aware of what's going on with the Gulen schools. As you say, this is the largest chain of charter schools in the United States, the largest chain of charter schools in Texas, generating hundreds of millions of dollars a year in tax dollars. They've also borrowed over $650 million in debt, guaranteed by us, the state of Texas.
All we wanted as Newsbud, Mark, was asking him a few questions about what are the mechanisms in place for oversight.
Absolutely.
For example, I was going to talk about the fact that several whistleblowers, teachers that you have interviewed, those who came to me as early as 2008, and they said they were afraid to blow the whistle publicly because they had family members in their country of origin. And the Gulen cult, they assassinate people. That's how they keep them under control. They threaten them. They say, you do that, I'm going to basically assassinate your mother. She's going to be stabbed.
There's a man that we interviewed that is in Killing Ed that left the Gulen cult, who was actually went back to Turkey and was falsely accused of international drug trafficking by police in Turkey who had been infiltrated by the Gulen movement.
They can plant heroin, a few bags of heroin in your suitcase while you're traveling, or in the backyard of your house. Then they come and conduct a raid, and then they arrest you. That's how they set you up.
Do you think they're doing that here, or you think the politicians are just taking the money and just not thanking the money? You think that people are under threat here as well?
People are under threat here.
Yes. They not only they accept bribery. I know many cases, including Dennis Hastert in Illinois, because one of the things they do, actually, they have their networks of people placed in some of these offices as staff members. And one of the other things they do is they collect items to blackmail them. For example, between 2004 and it was 1999 to 2004, there were these foreign networks who, as a means of bribery, and these were some of the wiretaps that at the time we had, and they can't say it's an ongoing investigations being affected by it, but one form of bribery was offering people like Dennis Hastert, young boys, 9 years old, 10 years old, etc., here in the United States, but also when they went out on junkets. For example, when he was in Turkey in early 2000, like 2001, 2002, we knew about the hotel room, the hotel name 5-star, where he received young boys, young virgin boys, as the gift during his foreign trips. But there are other people like Dennis Hastert. There are many politicians in state of Illinois, but I wouldn't even attempt going to Illinois. Texas is different. I wouldn't go to Illinois.
Anyone that has
They're
really
too dangerous
attempted to criticize the Gulen movement risks, having problems. I mean, my film crew was hassled. I've been threatened. I've had people follow me home. And a lot of times it's not the inner circle of the Gulen movement. It's not people that you might expect to do it. It's parents from the charter schools who are very angry that, they're being told that their school's going to be closed because somebody is making this crazy documentary. Or there's people coming and criticizing charter schools and how horrible is that. So,
Parental minions.
yeah, so I mean, it's a really interesting situation.
We have current politicians from Illinois, and FBI has had dossiers on these people. There is a representative, Jan Tchaikovsky, under blackmail, has received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Gulen-related networks. Her husband, Bob Creamer, even though they're married, he is not interested in ladies, and he's interested in underage targets. He has been affiliated with Gulen Network since 2002, 2003. And again, these are documented facts. And if you were to ask the FBI, they're not going to say, no, what they're going to say, we can't make comments on that.
Yeah.
And the intelligence that they gathered per instruction by the State Department were not to be used as criminal case against any of these individuals. They were shoved into the counterintelligence. So when it's counterintelligence, you don't go to court. You basically compile this information, and maybe you can engage in a little bit of your own blackmail. So I won't be surprised that they are being blackmailed from many different fronts, including entities here in the United States.
But let's walk on down and see the Commissioner of Education, see what he has to say.
All right, we're going to be walking down to the office of the Commissioner of Education. It's not a very long walk. I think it's only about a block or two, maybe three. But you heard it there. For those of us just joining now, we already tried to confront Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who had his assistants or secretary or someone lock the doors ahead of us. They wouldn't open the doors. Not only that, but they closed the blinds so they wouldn't even have to look at us. He actually scurried out for just a moment and then quickly, scrambled back into his office there. He's apparently afraid to confront or even just answer questions for the people who he's supposed to be serving. So that's that. He's denied plenty of interviews from requests from Newsbud, from Sibel Edmonds, from this documentary called Killing Ed that's supposed to be exposing this stuff. They denied interviews from them. Multiple congressmen have. So that's kind of the situation that we're at now. I believe we're going to go ahead and end this broadcast here momentarily just to see what's coming up in the future. We'll see if we want to hop back on here in a minute. Thanks for joining right now. Go ahead and check out the documentary they've been talking about. Share this broadcast, spread it around. Go ahead and check out Infowars show, the Infowars.com/show. For the Alex Jones show coming up, go ahead and check out InfowarsStore.com. Check out nice shirts like this one. InfowarsStore.com. This has been Jake Lloyd for Infowars.com.